So, how do we see the African Continental Free Trade Area? How do we see all this movement, which in reality extends even further what is already invested in Togo? On this subject, you know that being small has its advantages, but it also has many disadvantages. Generally, when you see investors coming to Africa, they look at Nigeria, they look at Senegal, they look at the Ivory Coast, they look at Ghana, and rarely at Togo because of the smallest of our markets. And so, very early on, Togo started through ECOWAS to be an advocate, always advocating for regional integration. Because we know that without that, we could not make it. Togo started with ECOWAS, and I say for this activism, we have been rewarded. Because Togo is home to several sub-regional banks. And this movement, initiated by the sub-regional banks, has been continued by the private banks, which now have their headquarters in Togo. So, this is one of the advantages we have. Secondly, if we don't have integration, if we don't have free movement, how can we invest in Togo? How can we reach Nigeria markets, Benin market, Ghana market, Burkina Faso market, etc.? It's impossible, isn't it? But at the same time, we know that by coming to Lome, thanks to our size, thanks to the size of our country, moving is less restrictive. By comparison, it is much easier to move in Lome than in Lagos. My Nigerian brothers and sisters will excuse me, but it is simply a physical law. So, this proximity, this closeness that we have with the investors gives us the advantage and allows us to solve the problem. That's why Togo is constantly advocating for integration. Otherwise, without that, countries like Togo would experience many difficulties. These investments that are made, the airports, the ports, are oversized if it was only to serve the small Togolese market. So, the African Continental Free Trade Area for us is an additional opportunity to have access to other markets. And this counting mainly on the private sector. You know, it's not the states that will invest in exports to Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, Burkina Faso, etc. But it is above all the private sector that we find a favorable environment there. It is the private sector that will be able, if it has to invest in Togo, to know that there are no market constraints. Because behind Togo, it is a vast market. It is ECOWAS and currently the African Continental Free Trade Area. I would like to point out that Togo has also ratified the African Continental Free Trade Area. So we strongly encourage investors to be interested in Togo. That's very important.